So I'm the creator of Spirit Breathwork. I'm based here on the Sunshine Coast. I've been up here about a year and a half. I moved over from WA. And yeah, my journey with breathwork, the first time I breathed, I looked up and I said, I'm gonna share this. But in a way that resonated for me, in a way that made sense for me as well. That leading into creating Spirit Breathwork or holotropic breathwork with a few patterns, softness, and one accessing trauma release. It became very clear to me that we hold on to a lot of trauma, and breathwork was a direct way to access that and move that out of our bodies, and to connect us into our higher self and our inner wisdom as well, you know. With the incorporation of traditional instrument, sound healing, it was really a beautiful match to mix them two together for integration. I remember laying down at my first one and the first sound healing, and it was absolutely amazing. I was just, you know, everything that could have happened in that moment, in that session. And I got up and I said to the guy who was running it, I said, I'm gonna be a sound healer. And he just smiled. And I walked out the door. 6 weeks later, I brought a didge, I brought some crystal bowls, and I started sound healing intuitively. So a lot of what I do and what I've learned has all been intuitive. And, you know, I can't explain it. When you know you've done something before, it just comes in, right? And I'm sure, you know, some of you or most of you, you can understand that, like remembering into this inner wisdom. I didn't know what it was at the time. I just knew I needed to do it. And then I just started sound healing. That was my journey. And then more instruments, self-learning, self-teaching. And it wasn't until I started collaborating with people that had been doing it for years that I started learning why I was doing certain things at certain times through sessions, while I was using different rhythmic patterns to put them into altered states. While I was clearing energy of people in certain ways, I started learning backwards. But for me, that's forwards, you know? That's just how I learn. So when I laid down for breathwork, I started practicing on myself. And I'm going to be really honest, because I started breathing and practicing on myself like all the time. And then started facilitating and intuitively doing body work, intuitively clearing emotion off the body, and infusing sound into it as well. And then it wasn't until I started training people that I had to pull out what was in my brain and package it in a way that other people could understand it. I had to pull this, how am I going to get this out of my brain and put it in a way that someone else, like in my eyes normal, can understand, you know, what I'm trying to teach or how I facilitate. So that's been a massive growth stage for me, and pulling out my knowledge and sharing it. But what I share is a holotropic breathwork, mouth breathing. And with that there's some taboos around that. And when I started sharing it, there was a lot of views around how I was sharing it and how other people have held that space before me, that I had to figure out, well, for me, a system that was very safe for our people journeying into the trauma release breathwork, that hadn't really been done before, like with the big group. With the creation of Spirit Breathwork, I had to be really comfortable and understand who I was on this planet, and not follow anyone else and what they were doing, you know, and really get clear on that for me. And I think you can all relate to that. Like when we sink into our skin and we know who we are, it gives ourselves permission to share how we need to share, what we need to, you know, the modality or the offering that we're creating. So, you know, some of the big things that came up were in the big groups when you're going from 20 to 100. You know, some of our groups are that size, the 100. You know, we're hitting around there now. And it was creating safety through the somatic releases. You know, you've got multiple experiences happening on the floor. You know, you might have someone in the corner that's crying. You might have someone on the other side that's laughing. Someone in the middle that's not breathing. They're going through a rebirth. You know, someone over there there's some drama going on, you know, or someone not breathing over there. So you got a collective room doing different things, you know, and you've got 3 hours to go through a journey and try and get everyone integrated, you know, which is a mission on your own. So I had to create a number of facilitators that could hold a space that could facilitate that many people in the room. Eventually getting them all to the same stage, you know, so that by the time we go into sound, they've gone through their journey. You can't talk to everybody in the big sessions, and we use the sound over the body to help with that integration and to bring them back into their bodies as best we can. So that's some of the stuff that has come up for us around holotropic breathwork and how it's been painted. Because there has been some really, really shocking things that have happened that has painted a bad picture of holotropic breathwork in the way of really opening people up and just leaving them fully open. That's another thing too, you know, like coming into my skin, I realised what I'm here to do. I'm here to create awareness through the breath and plant a lot of seeds and drop them down. So people that come to my stuff and the big stuff and the bigger events, they get a taste of how powerful the breath is, how they can tap into that. And then these seeds grow and their awareness opens up, and then they go into other modalities as well, you know, like whether it's yoga with the breath or whether, you know, it's rebirthing. But it just opens them up, and that's what we're here to do with Spirit Breathwork and activate other facilitators as well to do what we do.